If you're working in a high-stress job, you already know how easy it is to lose your sense of balance and control. Your day starts before you even wake up, doesn't it? The anxiety creeps in, your mind races through everything on your plate, and suddenly you're running on fumes by 10 in the morning. But what if I told you that the first few hours of your day could completely reshape how you handle pressure and stress? I'm going to share 5 things you can do every single morning that will keep you centered, grounded, and genuinely more capable of handling whatever comes your way. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel because we're diving deep into strategies that actually work for people in demanding careers. Let's start with something that seems almost too simple. Intentional breathing. Most of us wake up and immediately shift into sympathetic nervous system mode, which is your fight-or-flight response. Your cortisol spikes, your chest tightens, and you're already stressed before your feet hit the floor. Intentional breathing does something remarkable. When you take slow, deliberate breaths, you're literally signaling to your nervous system that you're safe. You're telling your body that this is not an emergency. This is why box breathing works so well. You breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. Do this for just 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, and you've essentially recalibrated your entire system. Your heart rate stabilizes, your blood pressure drops, and your mind becomes clearer. The best part? You can do this anywhere. You don't need equipment or a special location. You just need a quiet moment and your own breath. Now, I want you to picture this. You're sitting by a window with soft, natural light coming through, and you're not thinking about your calendar or your emails. You're just breathing. That simple act creates a buffer between you and the chaos of the day. Think about the last time you felt truly overwhelmed at work. Usually, when we feel that overwhelm, it's because we never gave ourselves permission to pause. We skipped the breathing, we skipped the centering, and we went straight into reactivity. Intentional breathing is your reset button. It's the practice that tells your mind and body that you're in control, not the other way around. The second morning practice is journaling. And before you think this is just another wellness trend, hear me out. Journaling is actually a form of cognitive processing. When you write down your thoughts, you're externalizing them. Instead of letting them loop endlessly in your head, you're putting them on paper, which creates distance and perspective. What I recommend is this. Spend 10 to 15 minutes in the morning writing whatever comes to mind. Don't censor yourself. If you're anxious about a presentation, write it down. If you're worried about a conflict with a colleague, write it down. If you're excited about a project, write that down too. The point isn't to create a perfect journal entry. The point is to clear your mental space so you can show up to your day intentionally rather than reactively. Many high performers use a specific journaling technique in the morning called the brain dump. You simply write everything that's on your mind for 10 minutes without stopping. It doesn't have to be coherent. It doesn't have to be organized. By the time you finish, you've essentially emptied your mental inbox, and now you have space to think clearly about your priorities. Studies show that people who journal regularly report lower stress, better emotional regulation, and improved focus. That's not coincidental. You're training your brain to process information rather than just ruminate on it. When you come to your journal with a cup of coffee and your fountain pen, you're not just writing. You're creating a ritual that says, I'm taking care of my mental health before the day takes anything from me. The third practice is movement. And I'm not talking about a grueling workout. I'm talking about gentle, intentional movement that wakes up your body and releases tension. Yoga is fantastic for this, but so is stretching, tai chi, dancing, or even a slow walk. The reason this matters so much is that stress lives in your body. When you're tense, your shoulders creep up to your ears, your jaw clenches, and your breathing becomes shallow. You might not even realize it's happening. Gentle morning movement counteracts this. When you stretch, you're literally releasing the physical tension that your nervous system has locked into your muscles. When you do yoga, you're combining movement with breathwork and mindfulness, which amplifies the centering effect. What I love about adding movement to your morning is that it doesn't take long. Even 15 to 20 minutes of yoga or stretching can completely shift your energy. You're not trying to exhaust yourself. You're trying to wake up your body in a way that feels good and sustainable. A lot of people in high-stress jobs make the mistake of either skipping movement entirely or going too hard too fast. They try to do a crushing workout before work and end up more stressed. What you actually need is movement that feels nourishing, not depleting. When you move intentionally in the morning, you're also training your body to release the habit of holding tension. Over time, this becomes automatic. Your body learns that you're choosing to stay relaxed and present. The fourth thing you need to do every morning is set your intention. This is different from planning. Planning is about what tasks you need to accomplish. Intention is about who you want to be and how you want to show up. So instead of just looking at your calendar and thinking about everything you have to do, you're asking yourself a different question. How do I want to feel today? And what kind of energy do I want to bring to this day? Maybe your intention is to be patient with difficult conversations. Maybe it's to be creative and innovative. Maybe it's to be calm and present. Whatever your intention is, you're declaring it to yourself. You're giving your nervous system and your subconscious mind a target to orient toward. This is where a lot of high performers miss something crucial. You can be incredibly productive and still feel completely off-center. Why? Because you're not working with intention. You're just working. Setting an intention in the morning is like recalibrating your internal compass. Instead of the day happening to you, you're happening to the day. You're making a choice about how you show up, and that choice ripples through everything you do. When you face a stressful situation and you've set the intention to be patient, something shifts. You don't react as quickly. You're more resourceful. You're more creative. That's the power of morning intention. Like this video if you're starting to see how these morning practices build on each other. The fifth and final practice is nourishment. And I'm talking about real, intentional nourishment, not just coffee and a rushed breakfast. Your morning meal sets the tone for your entire day. If you eat something with high sugar and low protein, you're going to experience blood sugar crashes, which creates stress and anxiety. If you eat something with good protein, healthy fats, and balanced carbohydrates, you're stabilizing your system. You're giving your body the fuel it needs to handle stress. So what does this actually look like? A breakfast with eggs and vegetables. A smoothie with protein powder, fruit, and healthy fat. Oatmeal with nuts and berries. Coffee or tea with intention, not just as a caffeine delivery system. What I recommend is that you make your breakfast a ritual. Use your nice mug. Sit down. Taste your food. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't read your emails. For 10 or 15 minutes, you're just nourishing yourself. This sounds simple, but most people never do this. They're eating while checking their phone, while getting dressed, while mentally running through their to-do list. Your body doesn't even register that you've eaten. Your mind is already in work mode. When you slow down and make nourishment intentional, you're treating yourself with care. You're saying, my well-being matters. And guess what? When you treat yourself with care in the morning, you're more likely to make choices throughout the day that support your well-being. You're more likely to take breaks. You're more likely to set boundaries. You're more likely to say no to things that drain you. Now let me tie all of this together. These 5 practices, intentional breathing, journaling, movement, setting intention, and nourishment, they're not separate activities. They're a system. Each one amplifies the others. You start with breathing, which calms your nervous system. You journal, which clears your mental space. You move, which releases physical tension. You set your intention, which aligns your mind and body toward what matters. And you nourish yourself, which stabilizes your entire system. By the time you step into your workday, you're not running on stress and caffeine. You're running on intention and stability. Here's what's crucial. You don't have to do all of these every single day if you're just starting out. You could start with breathing and journaling. Once that feels natural, add movement. Then add intention setting. And finally, nourishment. The goal is to build a system that feels sustainable for you, not another source of stress. Some days you might have 20 minutes. Some days you might have an hour. The practice scales. A 5-minute breathing session is still powerful. A 3-minute journaling moment still clears your mind. The consistency matters more than the length. Let me also address something I hear all the time from people in high-stress jobs. I don't have time for this. I understand. You're busy. Your job is demanding. But here's what I want you to consider. The time you spend on these morning practices is going to save you time throughout your day. You're going to be more focused. You're going to make better decisions. You're going to handle stress more effectively. You're going to be less reactive and more responsive. That efficiency compounds. You get back more time than you put in. But beyond the practical benefits, you deserve to start your day in a way that feels grounding and intentional. You deserve to take care of yourself before you take care of everything else on your list. One more thing that's important. When you're in a high-stress job, you're probably used to pushing yourself, to grinding, to showing up even when you're running on empty. This isn't weakness or indulgence. This is strategy. The best performers, the people who show up as their most creative, capable selves, they're the ones who are taking care of their nervous system. They're the ones who understand that your ability to handle pressure directly depends on how centered you are. So when you sit down with your coffee and your journal, when you breathe intentionally, when you move your body, when you set your intention, when you nourish yourself, you're not being self-indulgent. You're being strategic about your own performance and well-being. Start with just one of these practices this week. Pick the one that resonates most with you. If you're curious about journaling, start there. If you think your body needs movement, start with yoga or stretching.